Celeste is a game where you play as a girl named Madeline. Your goal is to get from the bottom of Celeste Mountain to the top. But, oh no, it wouldn't be an indie platformer if it were that easy. No, 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 no. This game will kick you in your balls, eat them. Why did I say that? Spit them back out, and then kick you in them again. You're gonna die a lot. And I mean a lot. Like 55 hours of your life a lot. So you start at the bottom of the mountain. You gotta get to the top. You're running through, and you meet a grandmother. She's mean. She's really mean. So you're climbing the mountain. Nothing much really happens in chapter 1. You get to the top of the chapter 1 area, and you're like, this might have been a little incy bit of a mistake. Incy. What the hell? So on chapter 2, you're climbing up that ding-dang mountain again, like you do 9 times throughout this game. Technically 8, but I'll talk about that later. And you're like, you find this mirror, and you're like, oh, that looks like an emo version of me in this mirror. And it is an emo version of you. You've been bamboozled. You've been tricked. You've been confuzzled. The emo version of you just breaks out of the mirror and is like, ha, fuck you, asshat, and flies away. And you're like, oh, that was weird. So you're climbing the mountain, you're climbing again, and you find the emo version of you, and they're like, hey, bitch, we can't do this. This mountain is way too tough. People have died here. Let's just go back home. And you're like, no, I gotta see this through. And they're like, bitch, the fuck, and they pull out a gun on you. So you're running away now because, you know, it's a fucking gun. So eventually you find a telephone pole, and you're like, who's this? And they're like, you never really get an answer as to who this is, unless they answered it on like fucking Twitter or something. But some random person, they're like, oh wow, this is obviously a dream, you dumbass. And they're like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. And then you get eaten by a weird monster thing, and then you wake up and you find the telephone pole, and you also find this guy named Theo. He's the best character. I love Theo. He's the best. But you find the telephone pole, and you call your mama. You call your mother. So once again, you're climbing, and you find this hotel, and there's this little evil ghost. He's not evil, but he's a little ghost man. He's like, hey, do you want to, like, get in one of my rooms? Maybe I shouldn't have phrased it like that. That sound, ugh. Anyway, you're like, no thank you, but he just keeps insisting, so you're like, fine, and you realize how much of a mess his hotel is, and you're like, bitch, you live like this? So you clean up the hotel for him, and eventually, you get to the room he wants to, like, sell to you, and you're like, no thanks, I'm just trying to climb this ding-dang mountain. And then that emo version of you pops out and is like, fuck you, hotel man. Die. And so then a chase sequence starts, and your ass is pretty much grass until he just makes a stupid move. He's backed you into a corner, and then he just breaks the ground, and he also falls. Despite the fact he's a ghost and he can fly, but we don't need to talk about that. And he's just like, please just leave me alone. I'm depressed now. And you're like, oh, okay. And so you leave him alone. Chapter 4. I hate chapter 4. Wind mechanics. I hate it. I hate it so much. But you learn about the golden feather, the golden one, the little golden boy, and you get trapped on a tram rail, and then that's where you learn to calm down. You get trapped on it with Theo, so you have a heart-to-heart with Theo, and he teaches you about the golden feather that his grandpa taught him about to calm down. And then at the end, he's just like, oh yeah, no, I totally thought we were dead. So then you get to number 5, and oh my gosh, that's a temple, and Theo gets trapped in one of the mirrors, so you gotta go rescue him, and you also get trapped in one of the mirrors, and you meet the emo version of yourself, and you're like, why are you doing this, you bitch? And she's like, we can't climb this mountain, it isn't safe, and we're gonna die, and yada yada weeda wooda. And so you're like, fine, fuck you, I'm doing this. And so you go and save Theo, and then you do like one of the worst parts of the game. Why is there an escort mission in a 2D platformer? Why would you do this to me? It actually isn't that bad. I actually kind of enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it mostly for Theo's dialogue. Yeah. But anyway, we're on to chapter 6, and chapter 6 starts out, you're on a little camping thing with Theo, and you're just having a heart-to-heart, you're having a talk-to-talk, and Theo goes to sleep, and so you use the golden feathers he taught you about to just literally fly into the air. There you go. Woo! And you meet up with the emo version of yourself, and you're like, I don't need you anymore. And that's a good thing. You're all the things I need to leave behind. And she's like, bitch, the fuck you say to me? And then she just, like, fucking spikes you down into the earth. So now you're in a crystal little cove thing, and you're like, I need to go apologize. And so you go apologize, basically. You make up with the emo version of you, and you, like, combine into one, and you learn to the double dash, and you're like, wow, with this newfound power, we can climb the mountain. And so you go and climb the mountain. And honestly, I love this chapter. This chapter. Play the game just to experience this chapter in chapter 9, because holy crap, this chapter, I love this chapter. And as you're going up the mountain, you and your emo self have a talk, and you get to the top, and you're like, I'm gonna change my life for the better. And so you do. And then you go back down the mountain, you go back to Granny's little cabin, and you make a strawberry pie with all the strawberries you've been collecting on your journey. Hooray! Oh, but then there's chapter 8, and I hate chapter 8, so I'm just gonna skip it, because I don't want to talk about it. Now, chapter 9. I fucking love chapter 9. It is so good. The jellyfishes. Granny is dead. She is dead. And you feel so bad. And so you go to space. To space. As anyone would. And you think this bird you've been seeing on your entire journey up Celeste Mountain is like, you have your emo version. Well, Granny has that bird, and so you're like, I gotta catch that bird. And the emo version of you is like, bitch, it's just a bird. And it turns out they were right, and this is all a dream. And Madeline has just been trying to cope with the death of Granny. It's much more emotional than I make it sound. I almost cried. I did. I really, really did. I was right there. I fucking love this game, and I would talk about the B-sides, but holy shit, B-sides and C-sides kicked my fucking ass. But I did it! I got 100% in this game. 100% in this game. 100% in this game. 100%. 100%. 100%. Okay, well, bye, stupid.